The lock snapped shut with a heavy finality, its echo carrying through the humming server room. My phone was gone, seized. No way to reach anyone. Maybe a night in here will fix that attitude of yours. Dominic sneered through the tiny window carved into the solid metal door. Behind him, I could see the silhouettes of Trent and Jaden, their muffled laughter slipping through the crack. Think about your place in this company while you're stuck in here, Trent added, his voice thick with glee. Maybe tomorrow you'll remember who runs things. The hallway light disappeared as they walked off, leaving me surrounded by rows of blinking servers. The room was kept at a steady 62 degrees to protect the hardware. I wasn't dressed for it, not in my thin blouse and skirt. They knew that. I slid down to the floor, wrapping my arms around my knees as their footsteps faded into nothing. Tears stung behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. This wasn't just about the stupid prank or the humiliation. It was about 6 months of calculated undermining, of watching my ideas stolen, of being talked over during meetings, of working twice as hard for half the acknowledgement. The company holiday party replayed in my mind, just hours earlier when I'd finally spoken up after Dominic presented my database optimization work as if it were his own. The stunned pause as I stepped forward, the twisted fury on his face. "You're nothing but a problem maker," he'd hissed once we returned to the office. "And I'm done with it." I checked my watch. 9:43 p.m. The cleaning crew wouldn't arrive until 6 a.m. The thought of spending 8 hours trapped in this freezing, sterile room made my chest tighten. But then my gaze landed on the central terminal, still logged in with Dominic's credentials. He'd been monitoring server loads right before deciding I needed a lesson. He'd left everything wide open. Before I go on with what happened next, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. This isn't just a revenge tale, it's about standing up for yourself when everyone around you seems determined to shove you down. Drop a comment if you've ever had to deal with office bullies. Trust me, what comes next might give you ideas. Though I wouldn't suggest following my exact strategy. My name is Zeev, not Zia or Zivia, just Zeev. I graduated top of my class in computer science 4 years ago, dreaming of reshaping the tech world. What I didn't expect was stepping into an industry where I'd have to constantly justify my worth. I'm naturally quiet, preferring to let my work do the talking. Maybe that's why they thought I was an easy mark. I joined Next-Gen Software Solutions 6 months ago, pulled in by promises of innovation and opportunity. Reality was another story, a boys' club pretending to be a progressive tech firm. I was the only woman on the dev team, and they made sure I never forgot it. My first warning should have been Dominic's reaction during my interview, when he realized I wasn't the male Zeev he'd assumed from my resume. That flicker of disappointment before he covered it with a stiff smile. "Interesting name for a girl," he'd said, barely masking his surprise. Despite that, my technical expertise impressed the rest of the panel enough to hire me. What I hadn't told them was my full background. Before this job, I'd spent 3 years as an ethical hacker, contracted by major corporations to stress test their networks. I'd been one of the top performers until a similar toxic environment pushed me to start over. I stared at the terminal, my mind racing with possibilities. 8 hours, unrestricted entry, 0 supervision. My fingers hovered above the keys as I weighed my choices. The sensible part of me said to wait it out, report everything to HR in the morning, and start searching for a better job. But the part of me that had swallowed insults and watched others claim my work for months had other plans. I logged out of Dominic's profile. Using my own credentials would leave a trail. But I knew what to do. From my bag, I pulled a small USB drive, my emergency kit, packed with specialized penetration testing tools. Old habits linger. I never traveled without it. With familiar precision, I bypassed the security layers and secured root access to the system. The servers hummed around me, almost urging me forward as I began my search. First stop, the company's internal messaging platform. There it was. A private channel labeled Code Bros with Dominic, Trent, Jaden, and 4 other male developers listed inside. My heart hammered as I scrolled through months of their conversations. Zeev asked another question during the meeting today. Someone should tell her to stop trying so damn hard. Did you notice what she had on? Trying to distract us since she clearly can't code. Dominic, brilliant delivery on the database solution. Far better than her original trash proposal. My stomach twisted as I read their words, but one exchange from the previous week made my blood ignite. Dominic, the Robertson Project promo is coming soon. Keep Ziv buried in bug fixes so she doesn't have time to stand out. Trent already doing it, assigned her all the legacy code maintenance. Jaden, she'll never reach senior developer like this. Dominic, that's the idea, genius. I had been grinding through 16-hour days, trying to handle my usual workload on top of the extra tasks they kept throwing at me. Now I understood exactly why. Digging deeper into their private chats exposed something even worse. Dominic had been quietly taking my code submissions, tweaking them slightly, and showcasing them as his own to upper management. The promotion track I'd been promised during onboarding was being built from my ideas with his name on top. My hands shook, but not from the cold this time. I needed proof, solid, undeniable evidence that would ensure they could never pull this on anyone again. I created a secure folder on my drive and began collecting the conversations, timestamps, original code files, and Dominic's edited versions. Each document was incriminating alone. Together, they formed a narrative of targeted harassment and intellectual theft. The clock on the wall showed 11:28 p.m. I had barely scratched the surface of what I had access to. As I considered what else I could uncover, I stumbled onto something unexpected: financial records for client projects. Normally, these would be locked down to accounting and management, but someone had been sloppy with permissions. What I found made me gasp. The Robertson project, our largest client, was being systematically overbilled, hours inflated, resources duplicated, and the extra cash. Where was it going? I traced the path through a tangled web of transactions, each one masked, but not well enough to hide from someone with my background. The excess funds were being funneled into an external account under a shell consulting company. The name on the paperwork, Dominic Porter Consulting Services. He wasn't just stealing my work, he was stealing from the company and from its clients. I was so absorbed in the discovery that I almost missed the noise. A faint click near the door. My heart seized as I instantly minimized the windows and yanked out the USB drive. Were they coming back to check on me? I crouched into the corner, pretending to be asleep as the door creaked open a few inches. Light from the hallway spilled inside, stretching across the floor. Through slit eyes, I saw a figure smaller than Dominic or the others. "Hello, is someone in here?" a woman's voice whispered. I stayed silent, unsure if this was a setup. I know someone's here. The system flagged activity in this room. The door swung wider, revealing a woman I'd seen around the office but never spoken to. "Oh, you're the new developer, right? Why are you locked in the server room at midnight?" I hesitated, not sure I could trust her. In the dim blue glow of the servers, I could make out her features: dark hair tied back into a neat ponytail, glasses balanced on her nose, and an expression filled with genuine concern. "They locked me in," I finally whispered. My voice rasped. "Dominic and his group said they wanted to teach me a lesson about my attitude." Her expression hardened. "I'm Raya. I work in cybersecurity upstairs." She stepped fully inside, letting the door close behind her. "I got an alert about abnormal access patterns. Now I see why." I scrambled to my feet. "Are you going to report me?" I asked. Raya studied me for a long, deliberate moment. "That depends on what exactly you're doing." The look in her eyes suggested she might be an ally, but I'd misjudged people before. I decided to test the waters. "Did you know Dominic has been siphoning client money through fake billing?" Her eyes widened. "I suspected something strange with the Robertson account. Show me." I slid my emergency USB out again and plugged it back in, displaying the chain of financial documents I'd uncovered. As she leaned over my shoulder to examine the evidence, her breath hitched. "This is serious criminal activity," she whispered. "But why are you digging into this?" The entire story spilled out of me. The harassment, the stolen credit, the months of intentional sabotage ending with tonight's punishment. Raya's expression darkened with every detail. "They did the same thing to me last year," she finally admitted. "I was supposed to join the development team, but after I corrected Dominic in a meeting, I was suddenly reassigned to cybersecurity, pushed away from the main projects." She nudged her glasses up. "I thought I was alone." "You're not," I said quietly. "And neither am I." For the next hour, Ria guided me deeper into the company's systems. Her cyber credentials combined with my hacking background made us unstoppable. We uncovered more victims. 3 other women had quit within the past year, all after run-ins with Dominic's team. "They'll know something is off if they find both of us down here in the morning," I warned, glancing at the clock. It was nearly 2 a.m. Raya nodded. "I need to get back upstairs and erase the security alert that brought me here. But first," she lifted her phone and snapped photos of several key documents glowing on the screen. "Insurance?" I asked. "Why are you helping me?" She paused in the doorway. She'd also included a note. "HR deleted these from the system, but I keep backups of everything. Good luck with this final piece." My evidence was complete. Now I needed a strategy, a way to release it that would guarantee action. Going to the CEO was pointless. He was complicit. The board members were mostly old friends of the founder. The legal system would take too long, and corporate lawyers would bury the case in paperwork. I needed something immediate and undeniable. As I pondered my options, I heard footsteps in the corridor outside. My heart raced as I quickly closed everything, removed my USB, and retreated to my corner, pretending to sleep. The door opened, and the light flicked on. "Rise and shine, princess," Dominic's voice boomed. "Night in the dungeon teach you anything?" I blinked up at him, feigning grogginess. Trent and Jaden flanked him, all 3 wearing identical smirks. Behind them stood Carson, the newest member of their team, looking uneasy. "I asked you a question," Dominic pressed, his tone hardening. I stood slowly, legs stiff from the cold and hours of sitting. "Yes," I said quietly. "I learned a lot." "Good," he nodded, clearly satisfied with what he perceived as my broken spirit. "Then you can start by apologizing to me and the team for your behavior at the party." I studied each of them in turn, noting their expectant faces. They were waiting for my submission, my defeat. "I'm sorry," I began, voice barely above a whisper. Dominic's smile widened. "Louder, so everyone can hear you." "I'm sorry," I repeated, raising my voice slightly, "that you felt threatened enough by my abilities to lock me in a server room overnight." The smiles vanished instantly. "I'm sorry that you're so insecure about your own skills that you need to steal my work." Dominic's face reddened. "You little—" "And I'm especially sorry," I continued, stepping forward, "that you were stupid enough to leave me alone all night with access to everything I needed to expose you." Color drained from Dominic's face as he glanced at the terminal, still showing the login screen. "What did you do?" he whispered. I smiled coldly, forcing even Trent to step back. "I guess you'll find out." Carson looked between us, confusion etched on his face. "What's she talking about, Dom?" Before Dominic could answer, his phone began ringing. He pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and his expression turned to pure panic. "It's the CEO," he said, voice cracking. "Why is he calling me at 6 a.m.? Dominic stepped away to take the call, growing paler with every passing second. The others watched him nervously, glancing between their leader and me. I stayed perfectly still, expression neutral despite adrenaline coursing through my veins. "Yes, sir. Right away, sir. We'll be there immediately." Dominic stammered before ending the call, He turned to me, eyes narrow with suspicion and fear. "What have you done?" I tilted my head. "Maybe you should check your email." All four men pulled out their phones at once. The synchronized horror on their faces as they read the message would have been comical under different circumstances. "This is illegal," Dominic hissed, waving his phone. "You can't access private company information," I replied evenly. "Says the man who imprisoned me overnight in a secure area." "Interesting definition of illegal you have there." Jaden grabbed Dominic's arm. "We need to go to this emergency meeting now. The entire executive team and board are waiting." As they turned to leave, Dominic pointed at me. "This isn't over. You're fired." "Actually," I said, holding up my phone with a message from the CEO's assistant that Ria had returned to me. "I've been specifically requested at this meeting too." I smiled. "Shall we walk together?" The journey to the top floor executive suite was silent and tense. In the elevator, I stood calmly while the four men shifted nervously, exchanging anxious glances. Carson looked completely lost, continuously checking his phone as though searching for answers. The elevator doors opened to reveal a reception area where Raya was already waiting along with several employees I recognized from different departments. They all wore the same expression, a mix of anxiety and anticipation. "What's going on?" Carson whispered to Trent, who ignored him. The CEO's assistant, Miranda, appeared from behind the heavy mahogany conference room doors. "Everyone is waiting. Please come in." The scene inside imprinted itself in my memory instantly. The long conference table was packed with board members, executives, and legal staff. At the head sat CEO Nathan Walsh, his expression a perfect mask of restrained fury. A massive screen on the wall displayed various documents and message logs, the very evidence I'd assembled overnight. "Sit down," Nathan commanded, pointing to the empty chairs on one side. Dominic and his team sank into their seats nervously. I walked to the opposite side where Ria had saved me a place. "Miss Zeev," Nathan said, addressing me directly. "I've spent the last hour reviewing the information anonymously sent to every board member, executive, and major client of this company." He motioned toward the screen. "Would you like to explain how you obtained this evidence?" Every gaze in the room fixed on me. This was the moment everything hinged on. I drew a deep breath. "I obtained it because your development team manager, Dominic, locked me in the server room overnight as punishment for speaking up at the company party." My voice stayed firm. "While trapped there, I uncovered proof of ongoing discrimination, theft of intellectual property, and large-scale financial misconduct." Quiet murmurs broke out around the table. Nathan lifted a hand to silence them. "That's ridiculous," Dominic cut in. "She's making this up because she couldn't handle constructive feedback about her work." I allowed myself a faint smile. "Check the building's security logs from last night. Review the keycard entries for the server room. Watch the hallway cameras outside it. You'll see exactly what happened." Nathan nodded at someone near the end of the table, who immediately began typing. "Furthermore," I continued, "I've documented a repeated pattern of targeting not only me, but every woman on the development team in the last 2 years. The evidence includes stolen contributions, intentionally sabotaged work, and a coordinated effort to push women to resign or transfer." "These are extremely serious claims," said an older woman I recognized as the board chair. "But what about these financial reports? Are you alleging actual criminal behavior?" Before I could reply, Dominic shot to his feet. "This is absurd. She hacked into protected company systems. Anything she found was taken illegally." "Actually," Raya said, speaking for the first time, "as the head of cybersecurity, I can confirm that no systems were breached. All access came from valid credentials left logged in, or from vulnerabilities my team has warned about for months." The IT director, who had been reviewing camera footage, looked up from his laptop. "The recordings confirm Miss Zeev's account. She was locked inside the server room at 9:43 p.m. and remained there until 6:12 this morning." The room fell silent as the weight of that information settled. "Is it true?" Nathan finally asked, staring at Dominic. Did you lock an employee inside a restricted area overnight without food, water, or proper facilities? Dominic's composure snapped. She needed to learn her place. She kept undermining my authority, questioning decisions in front of clients. His outburst confirmed everything. Several board members literally recoiled from him. And the financial discrepancies? Pressed the legal counsel. The Robertson Project shows systematic fraud totaling nearly $500,000. Every eye shifted back to Dominic. Sweat gathered on his forehead as he realized there was no escape. It wasn't only him, I said, bringing attention back to myself. This was a coordinated operation involving Dominic, Trent, and Jaden. Carson is new. I don't believe he was part of the financial fraud, though he did contribute to the harassment. Carson's eyes went wide. What? I never... The private chat logs say otherwise, Raya interrupted, displaying a certain conversation on the main screen, showing Carson making crude remarks about my appearance. For the next hour, the meeting continued as each piece of evidence was reviewed and validated. Technical specialists confirmed my code had been stolen and presented under Dominic's name. Financial auditors verified the billing fraud. HR was forced to admit to a pattern of complaints they had intentionally erased. Through all of it, I stayed composed, answering every question calmly and professionally. Inside, though, I burned with satisfaction as I watched Dominic's carefully constructed empire collapse around him. Near the end of the meeting, the board chair addressed me directly. Miss Zeev, this company owes you an apology for what you've endured. What would you like to see happen next? This was the moment I had waited for. My revenge wouldn't be yelling or threats. It would be methodical, just like theirs. Abuse. 3 things, I said steadily. First, immediate termination of everyone involved in the fraud and harassment. Second, a complete review of all code contributions with proper credit restored to the original authors. Third, structural changes to how teams are managed, including clear reporting channels for misconduct that bypass HR. The board members exchanged looks, then turned back to me. That seems reasonable, the chairwoman said. Anything else? I allowed myself a small smile. Yes, I would like to be considered for the now vacant position of development team manager. Nathan blinked in surprise. You want Dominic's job? I want the job he prevented me from earning, I clarified. My qualifications are already in my file, including the 3 years I spent as an ethical hacker and security consultant, experience I didn't initially disclose when applying for an entry-level role. The room erupted in murmured conversation. Dominic looked pale and sick. You set us up, he whispered, finally grasping the truth. You acted helpless all night knowing exactly what you were doing. I leaned forward slightly. Maybe a night alone in the server room really did fix my attitude. 2 hours later, I watched from the lobby as Dominic, Trent, and Jaden were escorted out by security, each carrying boxes of their personal belongings. Carson had been placed on probation pending further investigation. The company's legal team was already coordinating with law enforcement regarding the financial fraud. Ria appeared at my side, a satisfied smile on her face. Well played, she murmured. I didn't expect the audacity to ask for his job. It wasn't about the job, I admitted. It was about making sure they could never claim I wasn't qualified for it. So what happens now? You're really staying after all this? I turned to her, determination written across my face. The board approved my 3 conditions. They're announcing a full reorganization of the development department. I'm not just staying, I'm helping rebuild this company from the ground up. Ria nodded appreciatively. From locked in a server room to running the department in less than 24 hours. That might be a record here. The best revenge isn't just about taking someone down, I said, watching as Dominic's car disappeared from view for the last time. It's about building something better from the ashes. 1 month later, I sat in what had once been Dominic's office, now completely redesigned. The oppressive dark furniture was gone, replaced with open, collaborative spaces. My team, now balanced with talent of all genders, worked together seamlessly. The Robertson Project was back on track, with proper credit restored to every contributor. The toxic culture was being dismantled methodically, one policy at a time. As I reviewed the latest code submissions, a notification popped up on my screen. The federal contract, the very one I'd been hired as a token to help secure, had been awarded to us. Not because of a diversity checkbox, but because our newly structured team had submitted the most innovative solution. I smiled, thinking of Dominic. He was now facing criminal charges for financial fraud, his tech career effectively over. Trent and Jaden had been blacklisted across the industry as news of their conduct spread. Sometimes revenge isn't about a single explosive triumph. Sometimes it's about total transformation, ensuring your enemies can never recreate the circumstances that harmed you. If you've ever experienced workplace bullying or discrimination, remember my story. Your value isn't determined by those who try to diminish you. Sometimes the people who lock you in a dark room unwittingly hand you the tools to change everything. If this story resonated with you, hit the like button and subscribe for more. Share your own experiences in the comments. You never know who might need to hear they're not alone. And always remember, the best revenge isn't what you destroy, but what you create in its place.